Councillor Augimeri.
Thank you. Speaker, it was a very difficult time, and my family and I were without heat and light for 4 days, as well as many of the people in the City of Toronto. And our emergency services also handled thousands of calls more than they would have during the average day. From the 3 days from September 21st to 23rd, for example, I know that fire responded to 3,300 calls in a period where 500 would have been the norm. And that's just typical of what our staff went through. One of the things that I had complained to me about the most were constituents who were receiving hydro bills during the outage. And they thought this was particularly insensitive. Another was questions from tenants who pay a flat rate, and that includes hydro in that billing, and they don't know how and if that is going to be reimbursed. So these are questions that are outstanding that people need to get answers to. During my questioning on Friday, I raised the issue that was quite disconcerting, and that was that when I and many of the tenants from the Sealy Drive area called into hydro, we were told to stop calling because the power had been restored to Sealy, and that wasn't true. So that was difficult to deal with, because people felt that because of that glitch, because of that error in information, they were being bypassed. So there are things that went terribly awry. There were things that went well as well, but things can be improved upon for next time. With respect to TCHC, I would hope that next time this happens, and there may very well be a next time because of climate change. We know that this is coming. That next time an emergency of this sort hits our city, that we are better equipped as councillors with information from our senior staff to at least let us know which constituents are suffering, which ones need help because the elevator in their high-rise is not working, etc. So these are important answers that we need to get answered before next time happens. With respect to former Budget Chair Councillor Del Grande and his comments, I agree. We are not as prepared as we could be in terms of financial money in the bank, as it were, in our special account to deal with infrastructure losses. We're going to have quite a bit of those because we've been ignoring infrastructure for decades. And I remember we did so particularly during the last years, where we chose to ignore our infrastructure instead of investing. And we kept the tax rate at zero, when those were the days when we really could have made a difference in our aging infrastructure. We in North York had particularly bad infrastructure when it comes to sewers, because we invested in sewers in the 1960s, before my time, Mr. Kelly, that apparently do not fit the bill, so to speak, so they're not as good as they could be, and they need replacement. We have 1,500 water main breaks a year. How can we cope? How can we cope with that? How can a major city cope with that? We need to get in there. We need to fix things over the years. And there are a couple of motions on the floor now. I believe one is by Joe Mihevc, and Councillor Mihevc is saying, why don't we take the next couple of decades and do this investing? It will take decades. Make no mistake, it will take decades. And I think we should put our money where our mouth is. We all pay taxes here. We are taxpayers as well. And we ought to be standing up for our taxpayers, who in the end will foot the bill one way or another. They're either going to put a Band-Aid solution on 1,500 water main breaks a year, or they're going to pay for really good infrastructure that won't break down all that often. Thank you.